Hi, this is Mrs. McCarty. I'm going to walk you through inserting text in Microsoft Publisher for your yearbook page. First of all, just a reminder, to access your work, we double-click this PC. Your work should be saved on the shared T drive, not in anyone's H drive. It should be in the 2016-2017 yearbook, in the folder for the teacher for whom you drew their name out of the hat. I will use mine as an example. Double-click the folder. First of all, if I change the view to list, you will see we have all of these are images, but there's one document here that has the publisher green and white icon, and it has the teacher's last name. This is the page for the yearbook. So we double click that, and our work comes back to us. So I'm going to use a blank page now. So you can see here is my yearbook group's work, and they've inserted some images onto the side of the page. It's sort of like your workspace. To insert text, you have two choices in Publisher. The first is to draw a text box. When you draw a text box, it's just like in Word, PowerPoint. You can type anything you want inside the text box. So if we put Miss McCarty's tech class, you can put just the teacher's name. You can put a clever title. You can use alliteration. Mrs. McCarty's magnificent tech class. When you match those beginning sounds, it's alliteration. But you don't have to do that. You can simply create the text, and then just like we've learned for other Microsoft products, you simply select the text, and you can use the pop-up font tools or the font tools on the Home tab to change the font size and color. The only requirement is that if you have a kindergarten, first or second grade class, you must choose a font that your children can read. It has to be a print, cannot be cursive. Okay, so you pick a font. You can use the number size to increase the size. You can also use the increase or decrease font size. If your text looks thin, you can use bold, italics, underline, any of those choices, and of course you have your font color right here. You can do your font color. You can resize the text box using the handles. You can decrease the font, increase the font. Your alignment tools, this is where the text is in the text box, and it'll pop up and tell you automatically where it goes. You do want to make the text box fit the text, so I would drag this up. I wouldn't leave this down here, because as you start adding pictures, the overlap could get messed up. So that's the basic font and alignment. Now you also have some text tools over here that you can use. You could add a shadow behind the text. One of the favorites tends to be a glow. So if I add a yellow glow and then click away to unselect, you can see the choices there. You must select the text to make changes. You have other changes here your group can discuss first and come to a group consensus. Some of them you have to try them on for size, so to speak, to see if they really do have an effect. The second way you can add text to your project is by going to the Insert tab and finding the icon for word art. Notice the draw text box is right there near it. Any style you pick, the color can be changed. So if I like this style but I don't like the color is completely changeable. So I get my text, my edit word art here, and I would write whatever text I want in there. If you want your teacher name in there, you could do your teacher name. And of course you can do a combination of text box and word art. Please do not leave the default Arial black font. There's lots of really cool fonts, and this is where you change it before you click OK to your word art. So now I have word art. Basically this is a graphic, so I move it, I resize it. The diamond here will change the slant of the letters. You have to be real careful. A little bit of movement changes what it looks like. When you double click the word art, you get a word art toolbar. You have all of your choices of shape fill. You can do a solid color. You can go to gradient, more gradients. And if you choose a gradient, just like I've been showing you with other features, like the background, here your gradient stops. You can completely create your own gradient. You can add gradient stops. You can change the colors. You can tie-dye, so to speak, is what we were talking about with one class. Gradients look like tie-dye. If you do a gradient in your text, you probably want to pick a fat text so that the gradient can be seen. You can't see much of my gradient there. So if I go to edit text and look for something thicker, you may see the text gradient better. This has thicker lines for the letters, so when I click OK, you can see my gradient more, and you can make it bigger, shorter. If you want to separate it, that's in the edit text. If you hit and enter here, you'll see now it's separated onto 2 lines. When you've got your word art, that was your shape fill. You also have textures and patterns you can fill in the text with. In addition, you have shape outline, and I'd like to recommend just a thin outline can really enhance your word art. You see how it changes as I mouse over different shades. A simple thin black outline can really set your text off. And finally, we've got our good old shape effects, and you can add a shadow. There's lots of different things you can add to it. I'd be careful with these perspective shadows because they would be taking up space from a photo, and we want to focus on the kids. Same with the reflection. This adds to your word art, but it takes up space. You can glow your word art. And finally, you have change shape, and this is where you can change. You can make it rainbow or smiley, or you can split it in half. And as you drag, you may want to experiment. You'll see the different possibilities there with your word art. So that's it for text. You have 2 choices. Discuss calmly. Every person in the group give input. Driver acts out the group's consensus that you've decided on cooperating together. Thanks.